But yeah, so thank you, Monica, for coming to our Include.js Teach Me Something series. So the idea is that we talk about anything technical that is
Mhm.
suitable for just everyone that is interested in tech, but should be accessible to everyone that is quite on a just curious about maybe starting something or I don't know. So we so far we've done CSS stuff, HTML stuff, animation stuff. We've done
Oh, nice.
entrepreneurship. We've done Git and GitHub.
Mhm.
We've done a bunch of things. It's been very exciting because normally I don't always know people. So it's like 5 minutes before going live, it's like, hey, let's make this work.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm super excited to have you here today because I've been in an uncreepy way of following your journey on Twitter, and like I know you do a lot
Mhm.
of cool projects. Like I've been a fan and an evangelist of your Rihanna HTTP codes,
Oh,
uh,
awesome. Thank you.
which are just amazing. Like who cares about cats and dogs if you have Rihanna HTTP codes? Uh, but yeah, so before we start, maybe do you want to just like say a bit about yes, Rihanna HTTP codes. That's what I'm saying. Because like someone on the chat is already like, what? I will share the
Mhm.
link. But yeah, before we start, maybe you just want to say a couple of things about who you are and what you do.
Mhm. Yes. So I'm Monica. I am a software engineer. In terms of the work that I do, I enjoy like working a lot within the JavaScript ecosystem. So I work a lot with like React as well as Gatsby and like exploring the Jam stack. And then outside of like the work that I do day to day, I also am very interested in community building within the larger software development environment. So I started a meetup for women and non-binary React developers. We're based in New York City.
Nice.
So that's something that I've like enjoyed being able to do, and I always like appreciate being able to connect with people, whether that's online or in person. I definitely have been missing like in-person tech events recently, but I'm really excited to be here today.
Yeah, I think I saw on Twitter you said I really miss conference food.
Well, someone said that, and I was like, I miss conference friends, like
Right,
just
that
being able
makes
to
more
like connect with
sense.
people. Whether I haven't have met them before, I haven't met them before, just having the opportunity to connect, and not have to be like 100% focused on work and like learning and seeing like what are things other people are excited about within the tech ecosystem.
So now that like the in-person stuff is not an option, what do you do instead?
So I mainly, I guess, been like participating on like online communities. So we're both like in the Party Corgi Discord. So I definitely have been being involved with that, which has been great just to be able to like meet people from all different time zones who are focusing on different things within the tech space. And I would say I've gone to like some online events, but I definitely I guess more so prefer more like asynchronous ways of connecting with other developers right now. So that's kind of how I've been trying to supplement.
Yeah, no, definitely. Because like I also did, I do a lot of meetups, and I really enjoy teaching. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
I just get like extra zealous in person, like when someone because I really love teaching complete beginners that come to me and say, so like maybe I would like to do something, but I don't know what. But like
Mm-hmm.
tech is so scary, and then I do like my whole "Whoa, no, you just have to do it like every day for a little
Mm-hmm.
bit, and then we'll get easier. But I feel like it's you can't really do that. Yeah, like online it's much easier because like we can connect like really easily, right? Like I've
Mm-hmm.
not met you in person, but we were able to like to do this. But yeah, I feel like in person it's just you miss on something. Like it's not the same. I was just talking to my brother who's a musician, and he's really suffering right now during the COVID, because I
Yes.
told him, no, but no, there's technology. You can do all these events. Like you could do, you could do like background music for Twitch streams or whatever. And he's like, no, like it's not the same. I really miss the people connection and like the feedback and like just like sometimes like the feeling of how when you meet someone and you instantly click, you know, and like when you're in person, it's just like, oh, what? Best friends. But yeah, we're not here to talk about best friends. We're here to talk about what are we here to talk about, Monica?
So I wanted to talk through which helps you automate the creation of different files.
Okay.
So I guess something that I've run into is if I'm writing like a new blog post, there's a lot of like boilerplate front matter that needs to be added for every single blog post, including like formatting the date in a very specific way that isn't human readable. So I kind of just want to talk through like how I use Plop to create a CLI that would then prompt me to like answer a short series of questions that are basically what I would put inside of the front matter, and then it will output the actual file with the front matter, and I can just type the body of the blog post without having to worry about did I like properly format the blog post and everything. So I kind of wanted to walk through that today.
Awesome, because like I have a Gatsby website and a Gatsby blog, and I do all of that stuff manually. Like I copy the entire folder with the index.html, and then I delete stuff, and then I add stuff. And oftentimes, especially if I have a title with a quotation, the thingy, like isn't like what's the thing, the little comma on the top. I can't remember what it's called. Like when you forget to escape stuff, and like then the whole build is just like. So I think that will be, what is the thing called? Apostrophe. No. Okay. Is it apostrophe? I think so. Anyway, I think that is awesome. So I'm looking forward to it because it could be something that I could actually benefit from as well. And thank you to all the chat people. If you have any questions about what we're doing, just let us know. But yeah, Monica, you want to go ahead and share your screen?
Okay, I'm going to share my screen.
Yes.
Wait, sorry, I'm like a little disoriented with my desktop.
That's fine. Okay, cool.
Do you see like my terminal right now?
Yeah. I can see your terminal.
Okay.
Should I be seeing your terminal?
Yes. Okay. So I wanted to walk through. I have it in an article about like my process of automating file creation with JavaScript. So there's some like background information if you want to know why I decided that this was worth pursuing. But I wanted to just jump towards, I guess, actually going into using Plop. So Plop is they call themselves a microgenerator framework. Okay. So if you view something like, I think it's a Yeoman, like my understanding when I was doing my research is it's very like robust in terms of like how it templates. It's for like templating an entire project. Okay. Whereas with Plop, it's very easy to create specific types of templates for like specific files versus having to template out a entire project. So it's really nice if you just want to create additional files within a pre-existing project. So I definitely would recommend like for people who are interested in learning more about Plop or using Plop to go to the GitHub and like read through. They have a bunch of different like methods, which some of them we'll cover today. Cool. So yeah, I guess that's where I wanted to start. Awesome. Just like showing the repo for Plop.
Yeah.
So
it looks good.
Yeah, I guess in terms of starting, I think a good place to start would be from a Gatsby starter.
Yeah.
So that we have like a fresh slate of that we can add this.
I mean, unless if your preference is like, let's start with the whole blank slate and Webpack our way through and stuff.
No. So there was a starter that I was looking at, which I'm hoping that there's no live stream problems with this starter.
I'm sure not. That's never the case. It's like live demos always go 100% smooth in my experience.
Yes, exactly, of course. So this particular starter I just found by going to Gatsby JS.org, going to starters, and then I searched for blogs, and it was one of the first ones that came up.
Cool.
So I just decided to pick it, and also it says it was last updated July 8th. So it's being kept up to date.
Yeah, that's a good sign.
So,
I think that's like one of the top things when I'm choosing like a library or something. Yeah, definitely the last updated is always a good place to start. Cool.
Definitely.
So do you work with Gatsby
Yes.
a lot, or is it more like on a project basis, or is it like you do a lot? As in, do you like develop themes, plugins, or stuff like that, or is it just more like prototyping things or maintaining client websites, or what kind of stuff do you do?
So I when I redid my website last year, I ended up moving it to Gatsby. So a lot of my Gatsby experience has been maintaining my website, which is a blog portfolio, and has a lot of custom logic that I had built within it. So you can see my website at aboutmonica.com. And in terms of, I started it based off of not the Gatsby Starter blog, but the Gatsby Starter site, which pretty much looks like this, but is not a blog. And then I had to like manually add all the blog logic. So I got a lot of like exposure to understanding Gatsby and how it adds data to like GraphQL and how you can then access that by having to build out the blog functionality on top of the regular Gatsby Starter, which looks similar, but like I said before, it doesn't have the blog functionality. And then at my the last company I worked for, we're starting to migrate over from like a custom React application to using Gatsby. So I got the experience of working with it on a larger like production application. And then currently I'm working more with Next.js, which is also like within the Jamstack space. But the application I'm working on has like different requirements where it was decided we wanted to use Next instead. But I still try to like use Gatsby like within my free time. One of my like projects is I want to create a Gatsby theme. But that's something that is
future
still in the works.
And how can I ask, like, as a when you first, because you said like you started with the Gatsby Starter blog and then you had to add and customize all these things, like how did you find in the beginning the process? Like, was it, because I felt like I would add all these plugins and then like I would inadvertently skip a step or forget to add something and then everything would break and then I would start crying. But as in just briefly, because it was a personal website, it wasn't a company production website, so it wasn't death. But how did you find, because obviously you're more experienced than I am, but did you find it a smooth sailing process like in the beginning, or was it a lot to take on, or like how was it the beginning stages for Gatsby for you?
Yes. So I would say for me, when I first started with Gatsby, I did a lot of like cloning, like using starters, and such. So I had like some experience using Gatsby where I didn't have to worry about like all of the GraphQL and internal data management. So for me, that was like a good way to get started with Gatsby. And then when I was building my personal website, I really had to like go into the different files and understand like how the data was being stored, and I'm like new to GraphQL. So there was definitely like a learning curve for me in terms of that. So I really had to like understand like how is the baseline functionality working, and then build on top of that. One thing that helped me was, it took me a really long time to find out that this is still loading. So like when you run a Gatsby blog or Gatsby site, it runs it usually I think at localhost 8000. So you can see what your website looks like.
Yeah.
But there's also this local host 8000
80?
GraphQL.
Yeah, the playground.
Yes. So I found like once I discovered that, it was a lot easier for me to like, see what was going on in terms of being able to, if I had a page with a query, then pasting the query into the playground, and seeing what type of data was returned. And yeah, one of the nice things about GraphQL is that once you have like your schema defined, it's strictly typed, so you can like see like, okay, what are the other fields or methods that are available.
Is it control space or command space to see like the available possible queries? Like when you're in Gatsby playground, I think it's control space.
Yes.
You type that and then you see like, oh, you can query all these things, which makes it like much easier to just like select enter. But yeah, like definitely, like I also didn't know from the beginning like about the playground, even though like it's obviously there in the terminal, like go here for the playground. But I discovered it much later. Okay.
Yes, I also feel like I was late to realizing that.
I just saw today a tweet. Someone said a couple of hours of experimenting can save you a couple of minutes of reading the docs or a README file. And I was like, yes, definitely.
That's definitely true.
Nice. I like your theme. Your editor theme looks very nice.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so I have the site that we just downloaded from Gatsby Starter, running locally.
Yeah.
I kind of want to test just making sure that it looks like it did update. I just wanted to test that like the files live where I think that they live. Okay,
oh yeah.
So I just like copied one of the existing posts, which is in the content folder.
Nice.
And then like changed the title, and so now I see that there's two of them, and then the one that I copied has a different title.
Yeah.
Because before we like actually create the template, I want to make sure that where we're creating the template is the right location. Because I saw.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. I don't want to make assumptions because like I know every like Gatsby theme can be a little bit different.
Yeah. Awesome.
So
you actually have a strategy in mind. I love that. Like, I'm just like, yeah, you're right. Yes, I'm learning as we're going. Yes, continue.
Nice. Cool. So I'm gonna go to the package.json, and what are these dependencies?
Yeah.
I just want to add like a new dev dependency, which is adding plop. 1 second. I'm like, my terminal is not in a good place for me.
It's okay. I guess not.
Okay, so I'm just.
Yeah. Go on.
Yes. So I'm going to add install plop as a dev dependency for this application since we don't need access to it within production.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's installing.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of corgis in the chat.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, like Nareen said, who needs docs when you can try every command you know and put 100? Yeah, so it's for me it's as well. Yeah, I am much more of a journey than the goal person. I'm more like, yes, I will learn by doing and banging my head against the wall. That's how it sticks.
A mix of the two.
Yes, that's more sensible, I think.
Okay, so now we have plop installed. So under the scripts for this application, I just wanted to add a alias, I guess, for the plop command, so that way, like if we run yarn plop or npm run plop, then it will run our plop installation.
Yeah.
Our plop script. So that is now done.
Cool.
And oh man, I really want to move this terminal. I just feel like I like losing all of the screen space because this terminal is like.
Can't you just close it, or like you can close it with the X there, or like Command T, or I think maybe.
Yeah, I guess I just. Okay, I guess I'll just switch back and forth between the two.
Do you use do you use the VS Code terminal, or do you use a separate one?
I usually use the VS Code terminal, but because I'm doing it on my monitor, I can't see the terminal. It's like blocked by the bottom of my laptop, the top of my laptop.
Okay.
So that's why I'm like switching back and forth. Usually I'll use a regular terminal if I'm just like opening a file into VS Code, or like running like curl command or something. And then I'll use the VS Code one. I find it's just nice to have it there. And have it like within the context of the project that I'm working on. So I just created a plot file, which is really like where a lot of the magic is going to happen for using plop and generating these files. So I'm going to copy some boilerplate code. So it does not like my unnamed function. Hopefully that doesn't cause problems.
Oh, is that like your ESLint or what?
Well, it doesn't like that the function isn't named.
Well, we shall see.
Should I just give it a dummy name? Okay.
And then expect an assignment.
ESLint is not my front end. So, okay, I'm hoping that doesn't give us problems.
I'm sure it won't. We'll see.
But so I copied this code from the blog post that I had written. So this is basically just like the boilerplate setup for plop. So when we run the CLI, it will prompt us saying, "Welcome to plop. What type of file would you like to generate?" So you could change this text to whatever you want it to be. And then I have this set generator, so you can have multiple generators for a plot file. So if you have like a blog post that you want to generate, or maybe like text files, or something else, you could have like different generators. So each one will have its own set of prompts and its own set of actions. So prompts are the questions that the CLI will ask you as you're like filling it out, and then it saves that data. And then the actions are actually like based off of the input, creating the output file with the data, if that makes sense.
Okay, so it's like insert a title, and then you like title, and then put the date, or I mean, I guess the date you would get. But yeah, okay. So yeah, and I think you said it's going to be for your blog post front matter, right? Mostly.
Yes.
Cool. Awesome.
And I think this will be a good time to is this the right thing? To like mention Inquirer. So it is a different library or a dependency that Plop.js uses. And so in terms of like the different types of prompts that you can ask, and like in terms of like checklists or multiple choice or free form or whatnot, all of those types are defined within Inquirer.js. So those aren't plot specific in terms of the like syntax. Okay,
nice. Inquirer. Okay.
Yes. So I think now would be a good time to look at the front matter for the post. Yeah, this is basically, if you're not familiar with Gatsby, the front matter is like all of this that you see here. That I have, maybe you can see highlighted. And so it's basically like for each blog post, you would have metadata, and that metadata is then used by the UI, so it will display the title of the blog post, the date. If you have functionality like tags or displaying description or something, that will all be like defined within the front matter versus the actual body of your blog post. And these are all like fields that can be retrieved via like GraphQL for the site.
Yeah.
So we want to basically create this within the plot file. So I guess I want to kind of like put a reference to this up here.
Nice.
And I'm just gonna change this to let's see. So I'm just putting the type for the title to string since it doesn't really matter. What the title is for the slug, it should be I don't remember what it's called when you dash case something. So it'll be, the slug would be a dash casing of the title. Then the category, maybe we want to make that like multiple choice. So for tags, I see that we could have like more than one. I think maybe to start, I would probably want to have the template just do one tag.
Yeah.
And then for the description, there'll also be a string.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping this social image is not like mandatory. But we'll see.
We'll see.
Yes. Okay, so I think that's pretty, like the things that we're gonna wanna generate are a string for the title, some type of date, whatever format this is.
Yeah.
Maybe for all of these, since we already know that it's a blog post, we could make it the template, just set this default to post and draft. Maybe we wanna make that true. But we could probably just set it to false for now. Or we can set it to false for now. The slide is, like we said earlier, is a dash case of the title. Categories would be different string. Tags for now, we can just put like one string. The description is going to be a string as well. And then the social image, I probably would want to just like hard code or omit it. Because usually I feel like if you're creating a new blog post, you wouldn't have you wouldn't necessarily have a description. I mean, not description, a social image already. Like usually you want to like start writing the post before you determine how you want to represent it.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think we can start creating our first prompts. So yeah.
So title.
Yeah, so the first one would definitely be the title. So for that type, I would put input so that you can have like a free form field for that. And the name of this field will be title. And the message would be title of post. So this is what's going to show up like within the CLI.
Oh, like a placeholder type of thing.
More so to like give you context as to like what the prompt is for specifically.
Yeah.
Oh man, I really want to turn off this linting. And then after title, we have date. I kind of want to go back to date. Template and draft, we can just hard code within our actual template.
Yeah.
For the slug, we want to dash case the title.
Yeah.
So let's see. So I think that wouldn't be in prompts because we already have we're getting the title from the input. So we can generate that slug without additional input.
Yeah.
For the category, we can have multiple choice. So that would be the second prompt.
So how would you add if a category doesn't exist yet? Or do you need to add it before? So as in, let's say you have a new amazing category blog. How do you add a new category if it's...
Yes. So I think it's definitely like personal preference as to how you structure your blog. If you want to have a very strict hierarchy, I think if you do care about, like for my blog, I don't actually use the categories, but I have a few categories.
Yeah.
So my categories are very like broad, like I'll use like tutorial or reflection and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I don't really want to have like a random category that doesn't align with my like structure.
Okay.
I think of more fluid. So I would say like if you wanted to add a new category, you could add it to the plot file. If this is just a one-off thing, you can always like edit the actual like front matter.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think it's just a personal preference if you want this to be a list or allow freeform entry. It just depends how strict your categories are.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you sound like a much more structured person than I am, Monica. I am more of a inspiration of the moment type of person. So I think yes, the audience should follow your yes, this is good reflection.
Well,
yes.
Yeah, I did recently discover that like I had some tags that were different casing, and that really like freaked me out. So I probably need to update my template to make sure that doesn't happen.
It's lowercase, yeah.
Yes. So this should create a list within the CLI that for the category, and then give you the option. You can choose between these two different values, and then it's just going to convert it to lowercase for the actual template. So one of the things that we skipped earlier was formatting the date.
Yes.
So
did we skip it, or was it like we needed some warm up before we do the date? Maybe that's
yes, exactly. So I think we'll see if this works. So
like a date now type of thing, or
yeah. So we want to have we want to pull in today's date automatically. So that's there, and then Plop has these set helper this set helper method which lets you add like custom functions to your plot file. So for example, it has this I feel like you don't really need the helper function to uppercase, but
no.
Like... Right. This is definitely an example where they have like a helper function called uppercase, and then you can use it like later on in the file. So I want to create that for the date.
Yeah.
So ISO. I believe this is an ISO string date. And then I'm going to take that today variable that we have of today's current date, and then call to ISO string.
I mean, I am gonna assume that you looked this up, because like I would be googling this right now.
Like... Well, yeah. I had to figure this out for the template that I already made for my site.
Okay.
And yeah, there was definitely a lot of googling of figuring out, okay, how do you create a custom function within Plop, which led me to find set helper, and then googling to see how did other people solve similar problems.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely had to like Google my way through.
Okay, good. That is comforting, Monica. That is good.
Yes. So, okay, so we have the title, the category, Oh, I guess we don't have tags in the description.
Yeah.
So
tags, I guess, will be similar to categories.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, I guess it depends like how strict you want it to be. If you want it to be like freeform or not.
Yeah.
So I just copied like the input, so it's gonna be similar to the title.
Yeah.
Description. Okay.
Nice.
And so we have all of that. And then so I think we'll see if we have all of the things that we need to actually populate the to actually populate the template. So the next thing would be to set up like actions, which actually data that we just got and putting it into a template. But we don't have a template, so we need to create one. I guess I'll just create it in the root, but this could live anywhere.
So HBC.
Yes. So HBS is
HBS, yeah.
handlebars. So it's
yeah.
templating language.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why it's labeled that. And so for our template, we can copy over, I guess, this actual front matter and turn this into a template. So within handlebars, there are different, like, they call them case modifiers that you can use. So if you want to like title case something, or if you want to add the dashes. So
kind of like filters. Because I've been writing. I'm using Eleventy at the moment, and I'm using Nunjucks, and there's like different. They call them filters, where you can title or save case it, or like. So I guess that's similar here to this. Maybe.
Yes.
Yeah, kind of. It looks like that.
Yeah. So it's making sure that the output of the plot file, it matches like what we want it to be.
Yeah.
So for here, this should be pulling the title from the input within from the CLI, and then it also has access to the ISO string date from the plot helper. For template, I think we can just put post as hard coded. The draft also just hard coded to false for now. And then for the slug, we also want to use the title.
Yeah.
But instead we can dash case it. So we're using the dash case modifier. So we'll just add dashes between the different words. For category, we could pull in this category from the plot file. For tags, I would definitely want to like iterate on this.
Right.
In terms of,
because we said a single category, right? Okay, but you can have multiple tags, right?
You can have multiple tags. I think right now our current implementation doesn't support that. I don't. Yeah,
that's for
so our current one.
That's for V2. That's for for later.
Yeah. So we just have tags, which is just a free form input.
Yeah.
And then for the description, is that also let's enable description. Okay. So we're pulling in the description. I'm just gonna keep the standard social image that the theme had.
Yeah.
And add this is where the log content should go.
Right.
So it'll be formatted a little bit different, like once it's actually like a JSX file or a TSX file versus handlebars, since there's like different syntax highlighting for those two. And so now that we have the template, we can try to add actions and like test whether or not this seems to work. So the action that we would want to do is add, because we're creating a new file. And then in terms of the path of where we want to save this file, it should be within the content directory. And then there's post, and we need a short date for the format of the post, since all of the other ones have this like short date at the beginning. So that's also something I had to do before. So I'm hoping I can just copy the code that I already have and it works without any problems.
Undoubtedly, that is how it always goes. Like it's, yes. I split.
Yes.
Okay.
So, yes, I'm adding like another plot helper. What? I don't know why it's formatted strangely. Okay. And then, going back to where we were.
But
so
your ESLint is marginally happier, I feel. Like it's less red and yellow. It's like...
Oh, that is true. Okay, maybe I had like I had some type of syntax error this whole time. So yeah, we want to add the short date here, and then use that like title modifier or case modifier again, so we can convert the title into dash case so that we don't have random spaces within our path of the file. And then we're gonna we're gonna tell it where the template file lives. So I put those inside of this plot file directory, which is at the root of the, hopefully, and then
because
and then tell it to look at the
I knew you won't be able to just save it on root. Like you wouldn't just save a handlebars file to the root of your project. I saw you sneakily put it into a directory.
Oh yeah, I thought about briefly, just putting it.
It's good practice. It's good.
Yeah.
That's messy.
So it does not like this formatting.
The string interpolation thing. Is the short, because you have, the short date is a JavaScript, or is that a line break between the $sign or not? This?
No.
Is it? Then
I guess I could try to
run it and see what happens.
Yes.
That's always good.
Let's see.
I like the command. It's like plop. It's like.
Oh yeah. Okay, so something is off with this syntax. So let's see.
So is it?
Sorry, I'm just gonna adjust this.
Because it's time.
I mean, it seems like the part where it starts to get upset is
in the actions.
After the actions. So these prompts, it's supposed to be an array.
And then it has objects inside. And then the array finishes, and then you have actions.
Actions is also
supposed to be object.
An object.
Yeah. Hey, maybe we'll get the ESLint errors back now. Yay!
Oh gosh. Okay. Maybe, I don't know. Is that a good thing?
Yes.
Okay. So, for some reason, our welcome post did not appear. Okay, set welcome message. it's supposed to be. It's outside of the set generator. Okay, I don't know why the welcome message didn't appear. So that's a bug. But I guess let's see like how far this gets us.
Yeah.
So okay, I'll just make up a title. I'll call it a reflection.
Nice.
For tags, I'll just put Twitch.
Nice.
This is a test post for Twitch. So here, it's saying that it created a new file, and then this is the path to the file. So I'm curious as to if this is actually going to appear. Oh yeah, so it shows up here.
Wow.
And you can see it has the reflection tag, it has the title and the description that we gave it, as well as the month, which is today. Oh, I didn't expect this to show up. But basically it has like the boilerplate of that I had put in the template.
Okay.
And if we go into our content folder, we can see all of the posts. And then we see the one that we created. But yeah, I don't know how do you make comments in Markdown, clearly. Oh, is it like a pound sign maybe?
Maybe. Yeah.
Oh no, that's something completely different in Markdown.
So if you do the command / thing, yeah.
Oh yeah. So this is how you make a comment in Markdown. So yeah, the template should be updated.
Nice.
So yeah, that's pretty much very quickly how you would create a plot file. Or a template file. There's definitely like some more work that could be done in terms of making it so that you can have multiple tags passed in, and I think there has to be an investigation as to whether this social image is optional or not. If it's optional, then I think this is something that maybe we just have like a placeholder in the template, so that way you already know like the key for the front matter, and you can just put in the image information once you have it. Okay, so the image was here before, and so it just went away when we got rid of it. So it's not, I mean, it's optional if you don't want an image, but if you do want an image, then obviously you need to put the image there.
Nice. Was there an image before? I can't remember.
Was there? I thought that there was. It looked different. Oh, that's because it had the I had that comment.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't think it uses. I think this theme doesn't actually use the social image.
Yeah.
Oh, it's probably using it in like the SEO header. So something that you're not gonna see.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Oh yeah, so it's using that to set the meta image, is using the social image from the blog post, and then if it doesn't have the social image, then it would use the author's photo.
Right.
And then it's just passing that into the meta tags.
Yeah.
So it is optional in terms of if you don't mind the author photo being the fallback. So yeah, I would probably just make this a comment, like comment it out so that way you can fill it in, but not put like a pre-hard-coded one.
Very cool. Very cool. I think, and this was, it was pretty straightforward. I mean, like, if you know a little bit of JavaScript, and assuming that you use Gatsby or something, you must know already a bit of JavaScript. It's a really... It's a painless way, like, because I said, I've had quite a few bugs where I would be copy pasting like the previous blog post and then changing the front matter, and then either like forget some quotation marks or something, and then like just nothing would happen, as in like there would be no error, but my blog wouldn't show. So this is definitely a better way for like avoiding those little errors. But how do you can you stop the screen sharing? So I have a couple of questions. So how did you find Plop? Like, so let's say you were at the stage of, I have a Gatsby website, I write this blog, it's very fiddly to do the front matter, it's error prone. How do you approach finding the right solution, like the right library or the right dependency for your project?
Yes. So in terms of how I found this, I'm trying to remember exactly how I found it. I know like one of the things that I found when I was looking at options was there's this library called React Boilerplate.
Yeah.
And they have like a CLI where you can use it to generate different types of React components.
Yep.
And so within that, you can generate like a component that has like translations, or you can generate tests or different like utils, or like maybe if you're working with like Redux, they might have like some boilerplate for that.
Yeah.
And so I was looking into like how do they use that, and they use Plop under the hood. So you can actions look like in their prompts. So that was definitely something that I like thought was like a plus for Plop, of seeing like it's getting used in the React ecosystem.
Yeah.
You can create like these one-off files. I also kind of just like surveyed like what were the options. Like I had mentioned earlier, I know there was like Yeoman, where it's like more so like a whole project versus like a one-off file.
Yeah.
So I didn't think that was like the right solution for me. Like it seemed like maybe I could get it to work, but it would be the wrong tool.
Yeah.
And there was also like another one I saw, I can't remember what it's called, where like it basically would take your like pre-existing like components, for example, and then create some type of template based off of the file that you already have. So I didn't look too much into that, but I thought it was interesting, like in terms of if it works well, because you don't have to then like maintain a template, like you had mentioned earlier, in terms of like what if you want to add like a new category, and you also want, like how rigid do you want it to be? So I found like that was like an interesting solution, but I didn't go look like under the hood as to how it worked. And then there was a React Native solution that I found that I think maybe you could use for the web, that was really cool. I don't remember what it was called. So yeah, I just kind of like figured out like what was out there, and I maybe it's called Ignite, maybe React Ignite or something. Yeah. So yeah, I just kind of like looked to see what was out there and try to understand like what is the like ideal use case that this is designed for, and then based off of what I saw, it just seemed like Plop was like they say, they're like very lightweight things, so it doesn't seem like super opinionated. It seems like it's easy to like add it to a very existing project. So that's how I like ended up landing on using Plop.
And so because like I definitely see you as someone that has a lot of projects or like tiny like websites or things, or like, hey, I made this. And I wanted to ask, how do you think as a developer you should, to be successful, or like to okay, does it make in career progression or your like personal development, do you think required to work on side projects or like your own projects besides work, or do you think it's not needed?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I don't think that it is needed. I do think though that like it does give you another opportunity to like be more visible within technology, to make it so that people are aware of like the work that you're doing. I definitely don't think that it should be like a requirement, because everyone has like, different, requirements or things that they need to do outside of work, or, some people only want to code from 9 to 5. So I think that's definitely like valid. I enjoy working on side projects, because I think it gives me the opportunity to like, get like work on technology that I might not be able to use at work. Also, you can experiment a lot more with like a side project in terms of what type of technology you want to use, how you want to like structure things. I haven't figured out like how I want to use CSS outside of work, but I've definitely like had some learning experiences, like trying to code a project and not necessarily having a super like, like if you're working at work, you might have like a very
Yeah.
strict standards as to how you structure something.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed kind of like the experience of like no training wheels, just do whatever you want, and then seeing what are the consequences of doing whatever you want. So I've definitely seen it as like a learning experience and also an opportunity to just like make it so that the work that I do is more visible.
Yeah.
Since like the work that I did in my last company was proprietary. Now I'm doing work like within open source. So that's has been fun. But yeah, it's definitely something I encourage people to do if they're like interested in it. But definitely I don't want people to feel like it's a requirement. It definitely should not be.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, right? Because then you see all these people like I mean, because I think also the camp is divided. Some people do say you have to, especially. So I'm a junior developer, and they say, okay, you go to work, but then you finish work, and then the real work starts, because then you have to be studying and learning and doing all this stuff, and it's quite tiring. And also when you are like quite at the beginning of your career, you feel you don't have that much stuff to show, right? Because it's like you're just learning, so it's like, oh, there's like already 1,000 tutorials or blogs on this exact same thing, so I don't know what I can do. But I think that there's definitely, especially because we're both also on Twitter, and I find it can be like really beneficial to be visible out there, like you said, like to have some sort of audience, and like in for times when you want to ask questions or like asking people to connect you to other people. It just helps if you have, like, I don't know, some sort of audience, so you're not one of those accounts with, following 1,000 people and then having 6 followers. Then it's like no one really takes you seriously. And I think there's definitely also been a lot of talk, also in like the Party Corgi community, the Rihanna code, okay, the Party Corgi community, about branding as a developer, about how you have to, like there's also been, well, not that long ago, like the movement of don't have your blog on Medium because that's not your own blog. Sure, like repost it there, but have your own website with your things, because as a developer, you kind of oftentimes, especially if you're quite maybe like ambitious or want to maybe like move faster through your career, it's very important, I feel, like you have, like a brand, like that you say, oh, I'm Eva and I am a JavaScript or React developer, or I'm really good with I don't know what, or like I can do community building for you. Woo! So yeah, but I don't know how much that kind of distracts as well at the same time, because I've kind of, so I'm approaching like 18 months of being a developer, and I've been like through this roller coaster of, hey, I want to do everything, I want to be everywhere, I want to know everyone, and now I'm at a point of like, but maybe I just want to like learn how to do stuff and then do stuff, and not having to worry about having opinions and telling my opinions to others eloquently and in a funny meme cat gif type of way that everyone will like and share. I'm not sure what I'm saying, but like, what are your feelings about like the role of like work that is not code, or work is like all the work on top of that is branding, promoting, marketing, connecting, networking. Do you think, do you like that? Is it valuable? Do you enjoy it? What kind of thoughts do you have?
Yeah, I mean, I think if there's a way where you can do those things and like feel like that you're enjoying what you're doing. So like I know for me, something that I haven't had a lot of opportunity to do at work is like design things. So I enjoy like being able to like design my own website, and having that experience, which I think goes into like branding. And then also like there's a lot that I want to do in terms of like creating, I guess, like illustrations and things like that, which I haven't gotten into yet, but for me, it would be like maybe a branding thing, but it's also like, okay, this is something that I want to do. That could, I could completely separate it from technology if I want to.
Yeah.
And then I guess in terms of like networking and stuff, I try to like, participate in like communities and events where like I'm like interested in being involved. So yeah, I would say like try to find some type of balance where it's like authentic to you. I would say in terms of like aside from like actually looking for a job, I feel like everything that I've done in terms of like trying to connect with other developers has been very like organic and just like trying to like make friends. Especially like I feel like it's easy to like, or it can be easy to like meet other people like in tech who maybe are in a similar situation in terms of like maybe like trying to figure out like what part of the stack do they want to focus on, or maybe they're working on their first developer job. So I definitely have like welcomed just making those like authentic connections, and trying to like come up with like some type of marketing strategy that like works well for me and doesn't take a lot of effort. One thing I'm also interested in, which I haven't gotten too much into, is kind of like what are other ways that I can like automate the stuff that I do, whether that's like, I don't know, like Slack integrations, or like there's Zapier where you different. But yeah, I'm kind of curious as to like what are some ways that if there are things that can be kind of like repeatable, like how can you automate that? Like one thing I automated recently was like creating like the meta images for all of my posts. So I just have like a template thing, and there's like a lot of different ways that people approach that. Or like some developers will have like a more robust way to generate different types of collateral automatically. So those are also things that I think would be interesting to like get more experience with like automating something, and also like accomplishing like whatever your marketing branding goals are without having to necessarily spend continued time or a lot of invested time into that. Yeah.
Wow, I think you're definitely a glass half full type of person, Monica. You're like, which is which is really cool. And in the meantime, Jacob did share your Rihanna HTTP codes. Thank you for that, Jacob. But yeah, so awesome. Yeah, I think this was great. I found it very useful. I think I have no excuses now but to do it because it definitely fits exactly what I need for my own blog. And thank you so much for being here, and like this was really cool. I can hear how like versatile you are, like in terms of all the things you want to do, and because like me and design are not friends yet. And like there's so many things that I'm like, there's like I still feel like I'm lacking depth in terms of understanding like even just React. Like keeping up with that to me is it takes a lot of time. Or like what you said about CSS, like at work when you're like in a design system and you're just just do that, style that, copy it, imitate that. Fine, but then okay, now design this from scratch and like do all the like the Sass classes and all the stuff and like yeah, there's so many things. Automation definitely, like I think because you're also an egghead, and I think John Lindquist, it does like a lot of stuff on automation. Like he's like if I have to do it twice, I need to automate it. Okay. Like if I have the same, like if I have to do it twice, automate it, then we'll be like, okay, spend 2 days to save yourself 20 minutes.
I mean, yeah, it's one of those things, like, and the more you do it, I guess, like, the faster it goes. Like,
you see, glass half full.
But yeah, you do have to determine, like, is this worth the automation? I had actually kind of talked a little bit about that in my automation blog post of, like, okay, based on how much time it will save you, like, is it worth it over time or not to automate? But yeah, I think it's also fun to automate things, so that's something you can't necessarily like put into a formula.
I mean, that is like the ultimate hacker feels like, I pressed the button, okay, and it generated this, okay, it didn't do that before, so but yeah, optimist, yeah, definitely, awesome. Great. I'm glad to know that you're out there with your positive vibes. But yeah, so if anyone has any questions or wants to get in touch with you, like what's the best way to reach you?
I would say Twitter. Just like mention me on Twitter. My handle is waterproof heart. And then it also, if you go to my website about Monica or .com or monica.dev, you can
Monica.dev.
find my contact information.
Nice.
So yeah, I would say monica.dev or Twitter at waterproof heart are the best ways to connect with me.
Monica.dev, that is super cool. Okay, awesome. So with that, thank you to the audience. Thank you.
Yes, thank you everyone.
Thank you to Monica. Thank you to Party Corgis. I will have another stream, I think on Monday. Right. I forgot already. But yeah, yes, I think on Monday. So until then, bye.
Okay.